So we're live on Instagram, but we're not live on the show yet. But because the kids like this, they like the Instagram live.
Yeah.
You know, the kids.
The kids.
The kids. I like saying that. It's kind of like I've always been. I just don't like when people go son.
Oh,
Listen to
yeah.
son. That's the only one because it just has like a very like negative connotation. But the kids. I've always wanted to be that like grumpy old man anyway, so
Once I get to that point, I'll carry a walking stick just to smack other people with, because you can get away with it.
I actually,
you know what I mean? Like you see that old dude be like, "Shut up, kid!" Whack, whack, whack. It's like, what are you gonna do? Beat up an 80-year-old guy?
I actually want to get that Harry Potter cane from the Slytherin with the little wand inside of it, and be all like,
hell no, I want the one that has a taser in the end of it. So if they really get cheeky, you can like zap them in the ass. Be like, "Get out of here, little shit! Get off my lawn!" They're like, "It's a park. Fuck you, it's my lawn."
So how are we doing on time?
We're doing good. We can start in like a
So remember, we're not supposed to swear.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
Otherwise, they have to edit it out.
Oh, okay. Because you know.
We're supposed to be like as though we're like on air, right?
Oh, okay.
Like the FCC will. I don't think they will though.
Send you those warning letters and fines and stuff.
Which you'll just frame and be like, yeah.
I'll be like, that's right. Look at that. There's my college degree, and there's my letter from the FCC reprimanding me officially for swearing on the air. That's right.
Yeah, I've already told them. I think I'm probably the only show that you actually have to worry about that. Right?
I know, yeah. I was like, you're doing tattoo artists. I'm like, anybody like older, every other word is a cuss word just because, it was a bit more rough business back then.
I like when Sean Roth was here. He's a piercer, and he was like, "We pierce clitoral hoods." Can we say that? Like, I was like, "Yes, you can say that."
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, depending on your definition, like where you're from, like
right.
There are more cuss words in the dictionary now. Does that make them not cuss words?
Can I say puta and pinchy? And I don't think so either.
No. Some white guy will be offended that you said that and complain, then you'll have to stand up and be like, "No, I'm Hispanic." I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry. You're entitled to say that then." No, I have to prove that I'm half all the time.
Oh,
They're
okay.
like, "No, you're not." And I'm like, "Yes, my dad's from Mexico City." "No, you're not." And I'm like, "You watch soap operas?" "Yeah." I'm like, "Everyone on there looks like me. How can you tell me I'm not?" Just because I'm not chunty looking, doesn't mean that I'm not, half. And I was like, I'm sorry my mom is tainted white. It's not my fault. I eat tamales like the rest of you.
So you ready to count us in? Because we're missing all this good stuff.
we can use any of this.
Yeah. Oh, God.
I want to put up that George Carlin list of all the curse words.
Oh, man, that would just subliminally, make you say every single one on the list.
Right.
It's like,
yeah. There's a really annoying loud pop that...
okay.
Yeah.
And I'll edit the intro later because I can't find it right now.
Yeah, that's fine. Hello and welcome to An Ink We Trust, tattoo and art culture in San Fernando Valley, the latest from who is making a mark on the Valley tattoo scene, bringing the tattoo parlor to you. I am your host, Anthony Sanchez. Today we're going to talk to a guest from world-famous Emporium of Tattoo in Van Nuys. We have Frankie Ray, tattoo artist. Thanks for coming by the studio today.
That's good for having me.
Thanks. So the world-famous, this is a mouthful, world-famous Emporium of Tattoo has been around since 1974.
Yeah, and that's why you get the cheesy, long name,
Yeah.
That whole Emporium thing was so cool back then. Nowadays, it's like, okay, let's shorten it down to, one word.
Well, just like the Beatles, the benefit of Mr. Being for the benefit of Mr. Kite. And,
See?
Now it's just like a couple words. I'm trying to bring it back with An Ink We Trust, but... so you've been there. You've been at the studio there since '95,
right?
So do you want to tell us a little bit about what it was like back then?
Oh God, back then it was a bit more, rogues and outlaws and those shady kind of people that your parents always warned you about. Got tattoos mostly back then. So the original owner, Charlie, he's a typical 300-pound biker. I'm like, sit down, shut up, pay up, kind of a deal. I was getting tattoos there, and no one in my family has tattoos. I used to skateboard by going to work. I'm getting a tattoo. My dad would smack me. No, you're not. I'm getting one. No, you're not. Smack. So turned 18, rolled up, and I was like, I want a tattoo. And, there's 300-pound, like, biker guys standing there like, what, boy? And I'm like, I want a tattoo. And they're like, you're going to cry. And I'm like, I don't care. I want a tattoo. What do you want? And I'm like, give me that skull, $40 or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right. So I was like, oh man, I'm gonna die. You know what I mean?
Where did you get your first tattoo then?
On my shoulder.
On your shoulder.
I'm like, that's all I wanted. Just one tattoo. I made it about 6 months. And then I was back. And then it was like, I'd walk in the door just like, I got $60. Did I get that? No. How about that? No. What about that? All right, sit down.
Yeah, I think that's what tattooing used to be like.
Yeah, it was.
You just kind of pick something on the wall.
Right. There was no smartphones. There was no internet. Nothing like that. Like, what you saw on the wall is what you could get.
Oh.
You didn't see something.
There wasn't a lot of custom tattoos then, right?
No.
Because I saw a documentary, I think on Vice, about Sailor Jerry.
Sailor Jerry, yeah.
And he said he was one of that era, I guess.
Yeah, it was very much. You had some that would like draw stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times it'd be like a stock design, like, oh, I want that panther, but can you put a baseball hat on him? Maybe like, all right, that's another $5. And they would do it, but I want a custom, like, clock with the wheelchair and all this other stuff. They'd probably just punch you in the face and throw you out the door for wasting their time. So, yeah, you had to pick what was on the wall. So every good shop, the more flash you had, the better shop you were. Okay. I mean, I've even seen shops where they had it stapled to the ceiling.
I think I've seen those shops, too.
Yeah, so they could brag, we have 10,000 sheets of flash. Anything you want, we got, and that would draw people.
Yeah. I know that for my family, my grandpa had a tattoo, and then my uncle had a tattoo. So when I got one, my mom was like, whatever now.
Yeah.
But it was that they went to those type of shops where it was just whatever was on the wall. Yeah.
Yeah.
When did you get your tattoo then? That wasn't in 95 though, was it?
Oh, no. God. I was 18, and I'm old. I don't even know what year that was. Maybe 90? 89?
Okay.
Something like that.
So you were a skater as well?
Yeah.
So were you really heavily into the skate scene?
Yeah, like surf, skated, little punk kid.
Mm-hmm.
But I was working since I was 14, so I figured, if I work, when I'm not working, I can do what I want, and I did.
Right.
So, which isn't always the best thing to do. But
I mean, it was always about keeping your tattoo where you could cover it, right?
Yeah. Even when I got sleeves, I got the traditional, like, Japanese 3/4 sleeves. So for court or, a business thing or, who knew what I was going to do with my life, they would still be, covered and nobody would know. Obviously, my career ended up going in that direction, so it doesn't really matter. And then nowadays, it's so mainstream, there's something wrong with you if you don't have a tattoo.
Yeah, LA, it's still very much. When I go out of state, occasionally it's kind of a little different.
Yeah.
Like if you're in Austin, it's fine, but yeah, I noticed that there's still that this person, especially because I'm Mexican American, this person's gonna steal my whatever, and I'm like, I got way more money than you. Shut up.
I know. I've been busted at airports a couple times. Like I was traveling to Montana to work on a guy, and they're just like saucer eyes, the tattoos, and then I didn't check in my tattoo equipment. It's my livelihood. So I went through the scanner, and they just saw this metal bits and all the needles, lined up in packages, and you hit the panic alarm like there was a machine gun or something. So next thing I know, there's like 3 sheriffs and like all this airport security, and I'm like, whoa, what is this? And I'm like, tattoo stuff. And of course, nobody had a tattoo who was right there, and they got somebody, and they were looking like, oh yeah, that's what it looks like, I'm like, yeah, these are just all inks and stuff. So it was like a whole 20 minutes,
Yeah.
What is this? What is this? What is this? What is this? And I'm like, it's just normal.
You were sharing before we were recording that you used to make your own needles. Tell me about that.
Yeah.
What was that about?
Back when I started, it was very, secretive, trade. So you had to get an apprenticeship. And back then you had to make your own needles. You had stainless steel tubes that you would, clean and autoclave and reuse. But every week you would come in early or on your day off and sit there for a few hours with a jeweler's eye loop, a soldering iron, and a bunch of jigs, and make 5 and 7 liners for the week. Bang out 50 of them or 25, and then sit there and make flats or 7 mags, and you put them in the jig, line it up, and then thread a razor blade through them to get the separation, and then tack it down with the soldering iron and the flux, and then file it smooth, and then wash it off, and then put it in a bag and sterilize it. So it was a lot of work. When the disposable needles, thank God for sweatshops in China, came out, people were like, "Oh, this can't be real! Like, it's only a couple dollars. Like, oh my God! Like, I would pay." And a lot of times, apprentices, that was your job. You were making needles because no one else wanted to do it, and they were even like, "I'll mop the floors. You're making needles."
When did those needles change then?
It was a gradual. Some people started doing it at first, but the quality was horrible because you got to remember, the people making them have no idea what it's even for. So they're just told them, put 5 of these needles in a circle and solder them onto this, metal stick. Okay. So you would get some that were crazy, hanging out, and they would chew people up and stuff like that. So we never used them. And then, word would spread because it was a pretty close community that, oh, these people have better needles now. So you'd try something like, oh, they're not too bad. So maybe you'd buy a few for, just the quick, dirty jobs where, it's not critical, and still make your own. And then as things got better and better, you could actually pick and choose. Excuse me. And then also, too, with needle making, depending on how you make them, you can make them tight or loose, depending on how you solder them in the jig and stuff like that. So, say like a traditional, you want a bolder, thick line, so you would make a loose needle so it's fatter. And then for fine line work, you make it really tight to get as thin a line as possible. So there's a lot of variations. So depending on the style, you like things a certain way.
Because you built needles, are you a little bit more particular about which ones you buy now?
Yeah. I'll even still, depending on what job I'm going to do, pull out, 5 of them and cherry pick the one that looks the best for whatever I'm going to, use it on the tattoo. So you can really look at them and tell the quality. And, anyone that's been tattooing a long time, as soon as you can tell, if they switch somebody else making them or something's changed.
Oh, really?
Because all of a sudden they're not working the same, stuff like that. And then you start trying other ones, not good. Because, ultimately it's your work.
Right.
So if it comes out bad, oh, that guy messed me up, when really, he got a janky needle and didn't realize it till he was done. So that's why anyone could usually do a few lines and then wipe it off and check to make sure it's going in clean, it's not snagging or anything funky like that.
When did you realize that you wanted to be a tattoo artist then?
I was getting a bunch of tattoos, and I started dating a female tattoo artist. And I kind of got a look at the industry. It was very much self-regulated. If someone stepped out of line, usually someone else would call them on it.
Do you think it was a leftover of that Hell's Angels biker type of style thing, or?
Kind of, because it was a very similar code. There was just do's and don'ts. If you open up in a tattoo shop next to an established tattoo shop, you got firebombed or your ass kicked, because you just didn't do that. It was just rude, disrespectful.
They do seem kind of, not territorial, but they just seem spread out in a very appropriate way.
Yeah, and it was all kind of self-regulation. They're well, if there's 3 tattoo shops here, no one's going to earn a living. It's just, and it wasn't even just the biker shops. It was, other shops, down at Long Beach at the Pike, and Sailor Jerry, he's a famous one everyone knows about. He was in Honolulu. Same thing with him, his designs and stuff like that. He wouldn't outline something for somebody because they would go someplace else and have it fill it in. So what he would do, which is pretty creative, and he would do half the tattoo completely. Say you're getting a girl, he would do the bottom half, or a dragon do the bottom half. And then, so you'd have to come back to him to finish it because only he knew what the other half looked like. So you couldn't just go to your local shop and be oh yeah, this famous guy got it, did this, colored in for me. There was ways around that stuff. So that was one way. And most of the time it was just, common courtesy and respect because everyone knew each other. Mm-hmm. So if you caused a problem, you could get blackballed pretty quick for stuff.
When do you think it really became, to you, a little bit more mainstream?
The TV shows.
The TV shows, okay.
It's blessing and a curse kind of a thing. Blessing because it made mainstream, and all those parents, think only, criminals and prostitutes have tattoos. They saw that, oh no, it's normal people. I had a motorcycle accident, and at Holy Cross Hospital, there's a doctor there, and he had half sleeves, that nobody knew about because it was a Catholic hospital and stuff like that. So it was very hidden. And this way, with the TV, people saw that it wasn't, bad anymore. So it got more and more stuff, but also that was kind of like the beginning of the end, because then people, I'm going to be a cool rock star, I'm going to be a tattoo artist. And then people, I'm going to make money selling this stuff and doing this stuff. And it became more of, instead of like a love and an art form, we all kind of, a close-knit community. It became more just mainstream, and people didn't have like respect. Like, you didn't open a tattoo shop without apprenticing and learning and working at another shop for years, and like, hey, you're good, like, you want to open a shop, like, you can do it. Now it's like, oh, okay, like, I took this class and I watched YouTube, and I worked at a shop for like 3 months. I'm going to open up my own shop. And unfortunately, people getting the tattoos, they're the ones get hurt, because they expect you to like know what you're doing,
right,
and to back up, the stuff that's coming out of your mouth, and they don't have the skills.
What came about that Charlie ended up leaving the shop to you then? Is it part of that you'd been there for a long time? And
yeah, I was kind of like the shop manager, and he could leave the place and be safe in my hands, so he could take off, and any problems or issues I could handle them and stuff. But he just got tired, wanted to retire like anybody else. Mm-hmm. And so I just bought him out, came out with some kind of pretty cheap and fair, since I've been there so long. And he got to retire, and I got to have a job still, so it worked out for both of us.
I guess it's a good time to bring up, I saw on your website it says that you guys use Japan ink, or ink from Japan. Why do you think that's the best ink to use?
That's what the blacks.
The blacks?
Blacks is always kind of hard. Like, you'll see people like, oh, it looks blue, or oh, it looks green. And that's because of your skin tone. So if you have like an olive skin tone, it'll have a green tone. If you're kind of pasty white guy, it'll have like a blue tone to it. So finding a really high quality black that stays black, you kind of got to search around a lot. And years ago, I came across Kurosumi, which is from Japan. Used to only be labeled in Japanese, so you had to, kind of like check the kanji to make sure it was outlining and not the watered down shading one, which I've done that mistake once. Had to redo the whole outline. But it was just really black, really heavy in pigment. It would settle, like physically, like gritty if it dried out in a cup. So it was really heavy, like a finely ground, like good pigment. In Japan, when they do, what they call now, like, stick and poke, they actually have it's like a black stick, and they grind it, on like a grinding stone to grind that powder, and then they mix that ink, and they use that straight from that. So this is basically that kind of stuff, but in a bottle. And it's just really consistent, and it's held up, stays black for 10, 20 years, as opposed to fading to that really blue or green looking color.
Is that something that you suggest to some of your, I know a lot of times your shop is much more flash art, like, as far as I saw on your site, you have like your two people can come in and get the same tattoo and those type of things, but like those people they get a tattoo for fun and then they walk away from it. But some people who do like a full sleeve and a full back work, do you ask them to come back in and do touch-ups, or?
Oh yeah, I guarantee all my work, whether it's a little, cross on your finger or a back piece, like if anything comes out light. A lot of people have like dogs and stuff like that, and it'll get scratched while it's healing, something like that. Life happens, and I want you to be happy. So for me, it's all about having a good experience, a good time. So I guarantee all my work, and touch it up for free, whether it's big or small. Like, I don't have that ego or attitude that we're like, oh, you're only getting a little tattoo for the minimum, like whatever, I could care less. To me, that's just as important as somebody getting a big koi half sleeve, or a back piece or something like that, because you know what? maybe in a year they'll be like, I want a giant back piece.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of like a drug deal issue. Like, they get
Pretty much.
they're gonna get one, but then they're probably gonna get two, and then they're gonna be like, I just gotta fill the whole arm.
I know, it's kind of like, try it, you'll like it, I promise. The first one's free.
The first one's just $40.
Yeah,
you could swing that, right?
Yeah.
I guess I'll try to ask, since you've been in the business for a while. I know Rick Walters passed away recently. Did you have any stories or any interactions with him that you know about?
Yeah. He's just a pretty funny old guy, kind of, the old, like, biker looking generation with the beard and the long hair, and very, cussy, crass, like back in his day, there, wasn't unheard of to have to get in a fist fight in the tattoo shop and physically throw somebody out, kind of a deal. He was just just like a funny old happy guy, never really changed. He just been around, like, solid, respectable guy. You can nitpick work all you want, but it's more, the legacy and, like, how many people, he's probably tattooed 100,000 people in his life. How many people can say that?
Yeah. So how many like dad or mom tattoos do you think you've done at your shop since you?
Oh my God, I've all of them. I've tattooed 4 generations all at the same time.
Wow,
18-year-old all the way up to great grandma.
I think it's the great thing about when I go through especially your Yelp, like, a lot of people post and it's like the mom and the dad or
Yeah, we've been around so long that, we tattooed their parents when they were 19 or 20 years old in college. Like, oh, let's get, dumb and go get a tattoo. And then now all of a sudden it's 20 years later and they've got kids and they're like, oh no, you're gonna go to, like, world famous in Frankie. Like, it's clean, it's safe there. It's in Van Nuys, but don't worry about it. It's nice. The shop is nice.
Well, you're in a very particular old school area where it's like the other side of the tracks, right?
Right.
I was explaining to somebody in the studio. I was like, where that one shop is? It's like across the street. Next to the courthouse.
Yeah, when it opened, that was kind of like the fun entertainment district. There was, like, bars and, like, clubs and, like, massage parlors and, like, arcades and, of course, a tattoo shop. So if you wanted to, like, go out Friday, Saturday night and have a good time, get some stuff, like, you went to Van Nuys. Like, some of your parents who grew up in the Valley maybe remember cruising Van Nuys, or your grandparents cruising Van Nuys Boulevard. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of like Ventura Boulevard, like 3rd Street Promenade, like the place back in the day. Unfortunately, now it's Barrio Van Nuys.
Yeah. So because you're in that area and you've been there for a while, what do you have what's your best, this person is too drunk to get a tattoo story?
Oh my God, let's see. There's a bunch of those. This guy comes in, he is so wasted, he's doing the whole, like, teeter-totter wobble, and he's like, I'm tattoo, and I'm like, no, dude, I'm like, mañana, tomorrow, you're too drunk, it's like, no, tattoo. And I have this, little millennial couple in there, and they're just like, oh my God, what's wrong with him? I'm like, he's drunk. I'm like, you gotta go. Come on, dude. Like, can't be in here drunk. Like, tomorrow. And he's like, no, tattoo. And I'm like, no, sorry, buddy. Like, gotta get a tattoo. And then he stands there, and, like Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone, his eyes get big and he goes, uh-oh. And then he proceeds to pee his pants.
Oh.
So the couple waiting were a little bit older, and her boyfriend husband was like, that's it. He just walked over and, like, grabbed him by both shoulders and walked him out the door. He's like, sorry, bro. And I'm like, no, go ahead, dude. Save me from getting up. And, like, just pushed him out. And, like, the guy walked 5 feet and, like, sat down. And when I closed up the shop, he was sound asleep on the sidewalk still. So he was. But I've never had anybody literally pee their pants in the shop until that guy.
I'm glad I asked that question, though. That sounds like a typical.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, like, this day get any worse?
We're kind of coming to the last few questions. Where do you see yourself in 10 years, or, like, are you gonna keep the shop until you die, or have you thought that far?
I'm gonna keep tattooing and keep the shop until I can't tattoo. This job is hard on your hands and your body. People don't realize arthritis, nerve damage, carpal tunnel, bad backs, bad necks. As long as I can do a good tattoo, I'll tattoo. If I can't do a good tattoo to my standards, then that's when it's time to hang up the machines and, pass it on to somebody else, or, close your doors.
Right.
It's on you forever. And, there's no, like, that's good enough. Because good enough isn't good enough in a tattoo.
Yeah. Well, did you want to also just plug? Thank you for coming by the show, but let people know what type of art you like to help people with, besides just the flash art, so they know if they're coming by.
Oh, I've been doing this so long. I do any styles, anything from like super traditional Japanese to neo-Japanese, traditional American. I like the current trends. It's really fun and friendly without the attitude. Everyone comes in, has a good time. Like I do a lot of I even have a discount for like best friends and bestie tattoos, like couple tattoos, stuff like that. You can come in, get little matching tattoos for $50 a piece.
The studio people are like, what?
Yeah, like those two behind the screen. Yeah, they need a good excuse. $50 each, you guys can get cute little matching tattoos, and have a good time. Post some stuff on Instagram and.
Hopefully
have
some
fun.
of the students that are listening are going to be like, yeah, it's our spring break's coming up too. Well, thanks again for coming by the show. Remind us where they can find you.
Okay, you can find me on Victory Boulevard, cross street is Van Nuys. The website is wfetattoo.com. You can check my Instagram, which is Frankie Ray Tattoos. Sorry, millennials, the Instagram's getting there and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, but the website's always legit with directions, phone number. I give free aftercare lotion, guarantee all my work. Come on by, you'll have a good time, guaranteed.
Cool. Well, thanks again. He's Frankie Ray here at Needle Pushers. We're off next week, everybody, for spring break. We'll be back on April 10th with 10,000 Waves. And I want to thank you all for listening. I'm Anthony Sanchez. Have a good week.